Hello, welcome to the Daily Faded. I'm Hetz. This is the Daily Faded, where we get faded daily and talk about the news and politics of the day. That was not a very strong draw. I think the battery is running out on my pen. That's not good. Anyway, welcome to the Daily Faded. It seems to be day 2 of Kamala Harris land, because that's everything anyone was talking about today seemed to be Kamala Harris. And of course, we got an appearance by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But so they were waving at journalists. This was the funniest thing that I've seen in a while. Biden and Kamala spoke at this virtual press event. There were some real press there. It was some kind of a studio or something. And I guess Biden spoke first. I missed that part. I came in right when Kamala started speaking. And she gave a speech, and she was reading off of teleprompters. She had flags behind her. So it looked like the set for a political speech. It looked like the right environment for a political speech. And so she gives a political speech, and it's a perfectly fine speech for a normal corporate politician. And at the end, at the end of her speech, they start playing music, and she walks out and, "Hey, YouTuber Grudge, how you doing? Good to see you." They walk out, and they start waving to the back of the room, but there's nobody there. There's just the press there. And I'm like, what are they doing? They're waving at journalists. There's no people there. It would be one thing if they were on the stage at a convention hall waving to the people. But there was, it was absolutely ridiculous. These are absurd, bizarre times that we live in. This is the TDF number 80. Today is August 12th, 2020. Quick update on coronavirus worldwide. We're up to 20.7 million cases, over 751,000 deaths worldwide. The United States is at 5.3 million cases with 54,000 new cases and 169,124 deaths we're at now, with 1,379 deaths. In California, we're at 594,000 cases. It's got to make your food for the week. With 9,044 new cases today, and another high death toll in California today of 163 people, leading us to 10,810 deaths in California. Yeah, YouTuber Grudge, you got to make your food for the week. Got to be prepared. I'm down with that. So yeah, the Kamala Fest just continued on and on today. And so it brought out a few other things about Kamala that I thought were worth mentioning. Some of it is just observations on how people are dealing with the Kamala Harris selection. I listened to the MSNBC shows last night. I don't watch them. I listen to them as podcasts. And it was just blowjob city. I mean, it was just... they were falling over themselves to talk about how amazing Kamala Harris is. There wasn't a single critical comment of her the entire night. And they brought out Tim Kaine. Who cares what Tim Kaine thinks about Kamala Harris as vice president? Tim Kaine is the most boring person ever selected to be vice president, and that's saying something. That is saying something. So, yeah, it was absolutely absurd, and it made me want to take back anything nice that I had said about Kamala last night on the live stream. On the flip side, I just bit my damn tongue. On the flip side, the indie left media has been going crazy over the outrage that Kamala Harris poses as the VP candidate. That, she's a Wall Street shill, that she's Cop Mala, that she's, the top cop. And they seem to me to be displaying a, naivete. Like, it's been obvious that Kamala Harris was going to be on this ticket. It was obvious to me since early last year. But I think the writing has been on the wall all the way through, that if she wasn't the presidential candidate, she was likely to be the vice presidential selection. So all of like left Twitter and left YouTube that's freaking out over how terrible Kamala Harris is. We already went through all of this in the primary. We know exactly how bad she is. We know exactly how bad her record as AG is. And we're aware of all that stuff. And we know that she's a Wall Street darling. So none of that stuff is new. But I just heard it being repeated a lot today in places online. Ooh. Look, Wall Street has won again with Kamala Harris being on the ticket. That is clear. The CNBC tweet that I read yesterday made that abundantly clear. But I'm not willing to write off the future because Kamala is a centrist, because she is the Wall Street pick, because she is a law and order candidate in a time when we're talking about defunding and abolishing the police. A lot about her politics leaves something to be desired, or you could say it much more strongly than that. A lot of her politics sucks. But I have great confidence, optimism, and hope for our movement. And I think that the public pressure can push people like Joe Biden. I think the public pressure can push people like Kamala Harris. My dog is freaking out. Ludwig! Sorry. My dog is freaking out. I do believe we can make them bend to our will. And when I say our will, I don't mean left Twitter. I don't mean, indie media's will. I mean what the people's will is. The people need healthcare. The people need a living wage. There are more people who need those things than not. And the conditions in this country are going to continue to deteriorate. The economic collapse is going to be long-lived. It's not going to be a V-shaped recovery. We're not going to bounce right back anytime soon because we can't bounce back. We can't do anything until the virus is under control. There's no way to really reopen the economy until we beat the virus. So as things continue to get worse and worse, the movements to ameliorate those problems will grow stronger and stronger. So I neither think this is the most amazing thing since sliced bread, like cable news wants you to believe, nor do I think it's some awful, it was obvious that the only way that we'd get an all progressive. Ludwig! Damn it, hold on one sec. Ludwig! I really should find someplace indoors to do this. Also, mainstream media is going on and on about Kamala Harris's ability to deliver the black vote to Joe Biden. And I think Kamala Harris will be fierce against Trump. And in that regard, I think she is an asset to the campaign. From a pure standpoint of beating Trump, yes, I think she's going to be good at calling Trump out on the campaign trail. But do I actually think she brings voters? I don't really think she brings a lot of voters. I think that to all of the people who are the hardcore Kamala supporters, the K-Hive, as we call them on Twitter, as they call themselves on Twitter, those people are all, from my interactions with them, they're all quite, now again, Twitter is not the world. I know that. Twitter is not the real world. But they're all quite unified against Trump. Every Kamala Harris supporter I've ever met is very much unified in an anti-Trump theme. And I think they're all anti-Trump enough that they were going to vote for Biden anyway. They're politically activated. They hate Trump. They're going to vote for Biden. Now, maybe they would have been grumbling about it if Kamala wasn't on the ticket. But now you've got them. Great. Do we think, Biden was already getting black voters. Yeah, I feel you, YouTuber Grudge. I feel you. We do have to get the orange, sexist, misogynist asshole out. We absolutely do. And but what I'm saying is that Biden already was getting out the black vote. That's how he won the primary. Is being able to activate the black vote. And I don't think people who are boycotting voting for Joe Biden are suddenly going to decide to vote for Joe Biden because of Kamala Harris. If they're boycotting Joe Biden, then nothing about Kamala Harris is going to make them change their minds. That's just the way I see it. All of which I have to say, it's still an amazing historical moment for a woman of color to be selected and put on a presidential ticket. That's an amazing thing. And much like in 2008, where we were always thinking about that with Obama, I do think it's due to Kamala Harris to always be keeping that in mind, because it's really important and it's really history making. And I thought, actually, I was thinking about this today, because, young leftists and a lot of young black leftists that I follow and listen to, because I don't actually know any people in real life. Like, I know my family and that's it. But a lot of them, a lot of us, and a lot of them have issues with Kamala Harris's, particular her record as Attorney General. That's the biggest thing. Other small things, like she voted against reducing the Pentagon budget just last week. But on the, so there are a lot of issues there. And actually, Ben Dixon talked about this on his podcast today. And he talked about the difference between older black voters and younger black voters, and how, people fall with Kamala Harris along generational lines in the black community. But putting all of that aside, if you think about Biden, he's really, I think it's key that he win in November. Again, I don't know if I'm voting for Biden or not, but I do want Donald Trump to lose. I'll probably end up voting for Biden. But Joe Biden, if he wins, will have been instrumental in the presidency of the first black president, and he then will have been instrumental in the vice presidency of the first woman of color vice president, who may end up being the first woman of color president, because she's got the natural lead in. That would put Joe Biden in pretty high esteem in the Civil Rights Hall of Fame, to have been a close ally to two groundbreakers in, Barack Obama and what Kamala Harris could become. So he's got his legacy covered, which is a good thing, And who knows? Maybe his legacy will be, "I saved you from Donald Trump," and then he'll resign a year later, and we will have President Kamala Harris. I have no idea. But after this year, after the way things have gone this year, I would not bet against anything. Interestingly, there have been some articles about Kamala Harris's digital army that she has motivated to get out and support her. Her digital army, the K-Hive, are her digital army. Bernie's supporters are Bernie bros. They're all frustrated, angry, sexist white men. They're Bernie bros. They're terrible. They're awful people. But hers, the K-Hive, is a digital army. They're all good and pure and righteous and holy, and everything that is good is the K-Hive. But Jesus, the K-Hive are foul, foul people on Twitter. They are not joking around. They are not kidding. I would much rather have a MAGA chud trolling me than the K-Hive trolling me. Jesus. But no, they're just a digital army. It's perfectly fine when they viciously attack people and reduce them to, anyway. I'm not complaining that I'm getting attacked, but let's just say I've seen a lot of that K-hive on other Democrat violence. I was listening to last night's NBC News to see how they were covering the Kamala Harris event. And Chuck Todd, the stupidest man in news, said that Biden was picking Kamala essentially thinking, who do I need to win? What do I need to do to win? And I can only paraphrase it because I'm a little stoned and I don't remember exactly what he said. But he said something to the effect of that he had picked exactly the person he needed to pick in order to win. The only one who was the one who he needed to win. He said that she was going to unify the two wings of the party. Kamala Harris is going to unify the two wings of the party. We can, YouTuber Grudge, hang out for a while. We can take care of the citizens. There's a mythology of scarceness, a mythology of scarcity that we have to overcome. But we'll definitely get to that maybe in the next couple of nights. But this notion that Kamala unifies the party, brings progressives and centrists together, and I mean literally. In other places, there are people saying, oh, it says the progressives are out of business and it's all about the centrists because she's a centrist. Other people look at the ink blot and they say, she's a progressive. They're unifying the party. It's ridiculous. I feel like these people who get paid millions of dollars to talk about the news have no idea what they're talking about. Look, I'm not a Democrat. I joined the Democratic Party to vote in the primary and then I leave the Democratic Party. Because I don't self-identify as the Democrat, but if I don't do that, I have no say in our democracy. So, but the progressive wing of the Democratic Party that has been represented by Bernie Sanders, that is represented by the Squad, that is represented by Mark Pocan and Pramila Jayapal and Elizabeth Warren and all of the different figures that we have. By the way, we have a pantheon of progressive stars now, and I'm 47 years old, and I've been following politics since the Reagan era, and we've never had this many progressives. Never had this many progressives. Never had this many left-wingers in government before. That is a great sign. That's a really good sign. And we've never had the kind of popular support. We've never been able to mobilize in the way that Black Lives Matter has mobilized, in the way that the nurses have mobilized for Medicare for All, in the way that we mobilized. I didn't have anything to do with it, but in the way that the water protectors mobilized. Damn ghetto birds. Hold on one second. I hope you toke with me at home. In any case, she doesn't bring the party together. For the people who feel separate, for the people who wanted Bernie Sanders, they're no happier now that Kamala Harris is on the ticket. The only thing that would have made them happy is if it had been Nina Turner, if it had been, Barbara Lee. That's how you would have gotten them to really pay attention. But the good news is, I think that most Bernie Sanders supporters are going to vote for Joe Biden. I've talked about this before, and a lot of people have talked about it, but the Hillary Clinton supporters voted for John McCain in greater numbers in 2008 than the Bernie Sanders supporters ended up voting for Trump. In other words, more of Bernie supporters turned out to support Hillary than Hillary supporters turned out to support Barack Obama. So we always have to set the context and look and compare things and compare and contrast clearly, But I will say Kamala Harris is, yeah, exactly. The military equipment is not too expensive. Just that 10% Pentagon cut would have paid for so much healthcare and education in this country. It's unbelievable that so many Democrats voted against that. It's really disgusting and disappointing. Look, I think maybe this is the last thing I'll say about Kamala, at least for the next 5 minutes. She gave a good speech today. It's an awkward environment with no real people there, and you have to wave at journalists when you're done, and it's kind of crazy and weird. And Joe Biden looked like he was going to drool on himself while he was watching her speak. But she gave a good speech, and it was personable, and she attacked Trump, and she did a good job attacking Trump. And, she's a mixed bag. I have a lot of issues with Kamala Harris, but at least she's cognizant. At least she's aware of what's going on. She doesn't drift off in the middle of her sentence and then correct herself like Joe has been doing so much lately. So she gave a good speech. It was fine. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. I do think Joe Biden is going to win. I do think Donald Trump is going to lose. But time will tell on that. I agree. I don't support Dems who don't think military spending is excessive. That's a really important red line for me. Who's going to be our new senator from the state of California? My bet is on Javier Becerra. I'm not making a prediction, but if it ends up being California State Attorney General Javier Becerra, who used to be my congressman, you heard it here first. That's my bet. I think they've been grooming him for this. I actually had heard something about Dianne Feinstein intending to step down so that Gavin Newsom could pick the new senator from California and set it up how the party wanted it set up. And I had heard that they were grooming Becerra, or maybe Jose Padilla, Alex Padilla, sorry. Jose Padilla is a baseball player, right? I'm a little stoned. Forgive me. Anyway. So I wanted to talk about this the other day, moving on a little bit. I actually made a video about this the other day, and I tried to upload it, and it wasn't uploading, and for some reason I couldn't figure it out. So I'm still a Luddite when it comes to technology, and I have no idea what I'm doing. Suffice to say, I did make a video about Alex Morse and about the spurious allegations, to say the least, against Alex Morse. So the college Democrats in Massachusetts, at the University of Massachusetts, Amherst, released a letter last Friday accusing Alex Morse, who's running in Massachusetts' first congressional race against Richard Neal, the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. Alex Morse is the 4-term mayor of Holyoke, Massachusetts, very close to where I grew up, actually. And he became mayor at the age of 22. And I think he's been mayor for 12 years or 14 years or something crazy like that. In any case, he's a Justice Democrat. He's slated to be the next member of the squad if he gets the gig. And well, let me read to you a little bit from The Intercept on this right now before I go into the details. This is by Ryan Grimm and Daniel Boguslaw today in The Intercept. I just saw this article right before I started the live stream, and I wanted to bring it up. So it starts, the leadership of the University of Massachusetts Amherst College Democrats began discussing an operation they believed could sink the campaign of Alex Morse for Congress as far back as last October, a plan they then helped engineer and which came to fruition on Friday after the college Democrats sent a letter regarding Morse to the Daily Collegian, the school's student newspaper. The letter, sent 3 weeks before his primary challenge to Representative Richard Neal, informed Morse that he was no longer welcome at college Democrat events, alleging he used such opportunities to socialize with students and later connect with them on social media in ways that made them feel uncomfortable. Message logs obtained by The Intercept, both from leaders of the College Democrats' UMass Amherst chapter group, as well as chats one of them had with Morse, shed new light on how this purported scandal was deployed. As a condition of obtaining the logs, The Intercept agreed to publish some of the chats and paraphrase others. On Wednesday, following a statement by Morse, the statewide College Democrats chapter clarified that he had in fact only attended a single event during the course of his campaign. It was after that event in October 2019 that the leadership of the UMass Amherst chapter began to talk about leaking a story damaging to Morse, according to those online communications. So in the video that I made, that, cheers, thanks YouTuber Grudge, it's good seeing you. In the video that I made, I was very clear that this attack on Alex Morse is nothing other than an old school smear. I mean, they just went right after him. And The Intercept seems to be proving that with this new article that they've just published tonight. So I'm going to continue with it. Timothy Ennis, the chief strategist for UMass Amherst College Democrats, admitted in the chats that he was a Neil stan. Who's a Neil stan? Who's a stan for Richard Neal? Come on, give me a break. Get something better to do with your life. At least stan Ed Markey. He said he was a Neil stan and said he felt conflicted about involving the chapter of the College Democrats in a future attack on Morse. But I need the job, concluded Ennis. Neil will give me an internship. At the time, Ennis was president of the chapter, a post he held from April 2019 to April 2020, when he was term limited out. Leaders of the College Democrats group went beyond merely plans to leak. They also explicitly discussed how they could find Morse's dating profiles and then lead him into saying something incriminating that would then damage his campaign. When you have someone challenging power and allegations come out against them, yes, take allegations seriously. Yes, listen to women. But be very aware that anyone challenging authority, anyone challenging power, is going to get smeared, is going to get ripped to shreds, even by college Democrats, who should be his natural allies. That effort appears to have failed to generate the material they hoped for, but the group's leaders did believe they held damning evidence they contemplated leaking. Instagram messages between Morse and Andrew Abramson, who in April became president of the organization. Ultimately, the College Democrats did not release any chats or any other specific claims against Morse, opting instead to level broader charges that he behaved inappropriately. Morse, who was an adjunct professor at UMass Amherst until the fall of 2019, has acknowledged having consensual relationships with students, but has said that he has never had an inappropriate relationship with a student of his, and no such allegations have been made. And I think, to me, that is what it all comes down to in the end. I think that the things that have been said about Shahed Buttar need to be called into question, especially given the long list of DC and San Francisco activists, lawyers, and artists who came out in defense of Shahed Buttar, and the many, many, many accusations against his accuser, that she has accused people and threatened people of sexual assault accusations for years and years. So we have to be careful when we start hearing these people getting smeared this way. I mean, they smeared Cori Bush. Clay ran ads against Cori Bush about how she was homeless and about how she couldn't pay her bills. Therefore, she's a bad person and shouldn't be your rep, Anyway, it's all over the place. Well, that's it tonight for tonight, guys. Just two subjects, Kamala and Alex Morse. Peace out. Thank you so much. I'll be back at 8 o'clock Pacific tomorrow night. Thank you for joining the Daily Faded, and make sure you hit subscribe and like. Cheers.